Okay, naturally, where we are situated, where we're sitting right now in this particular room in the city of Dimona. Dimona is located in southern Judea, and Judea is pretty much right in the center of what was called in our old geological historical classes. It was the middle of the Fertile Crescent, and the Fertile Crescent was, of course, where great civilization sprang up. The Jordan Valley is right in between the great Mesopotamian region, the Sumerian civilization, the area that Abraham did come from. And of course, in the southern portion of the crescent, you have the Nile Valley. And so we are right situated in the middle of that particular fertile crescent that history gives credit to as being the seat and the bed of early civilizations. And so this is, even though it's called the Middle East, that is another era of time in which such a term was even coined. And of course, we're talking about the British. And so that's a relatively new, that's a very, very new and contemporary designation. But we're in Northeast Africa. We are in the northeastern corner of the land that in our times has been called Africa. But again, going back to the Hebraic context for us, this is Eden. This is the garden that was eastward in Eden. And the boundaries of that garden were defined by 4 rivers. Well, what are those 4 rivers? The first and the second were the Blue and the White Niles. The third and the fourth were the Tigris and the Euphrates. Now, our friends at National Geographic, they would have us believe that the first 2 rivers are in the Persian Gulf and are submerged now. And the National Geographic, they should be ashamed of themselves because they know better. They'll use the scriptural references to document that the Tigris and the Euphrates were the third and the fourth rivers. But then when they want to identify what these first 2 rivers were, they don't use any scripture references whatsoever because they refer specifically to rivers that compass or encompass the lands of Ethiopia. And they know then that they would have to acknowledge the Africanness and the dark-skinned nature of the peoples of antiquity in these regions here. We're in Northeast Africa. The peoples of this land in antiquity, all of those who descended from the Abrahamic tradition and adhered to those traditions, they were hands down African people. It's not even a subject open for debate. Of course, again, National Geographic would have us to believe that the only time that they give us credit for Black people ruling in ancient Egypt was a 70-year period when the Nubians conquered ancient Egypt, and they only were able to accomplish that by virtue of mimicking ancient Egyptians. And they do this because they know that they have to draw the line for where the blackness began and ended. And if they give up ancient Egypt, they'll give up the Nubians, they can't deny that, but they will fight tooth and nail to give up ancient Kemet, because if they give that up, they know they also have to give up ancient Israel, ancient Acadia, ancient Sumeria, and all the other civilizations that are in this region. They would also have to give those up too. And of course, that's a little difficult for them to do. They will fight tooth and nail to draw the line at what is now Nubia. And so it's all part of a conspiratorial effort to keep the African world in darkness. And the funny thing about it is that when we come and challenge them, they have to back off of it. But they're always testing to see, do they know? How much do they know? They already know all of what we're talking about. It's not even something new for them. They have it all locked away in the British Museum and in the, what's the place in Paris? This is how they do it. The Louvre and so forth. All that history is there. So we're in Northeast Africa. We're in the heart of African civilization. Quiet as it's kept, all of the early humanity look like African people.